It is a Monday, it is the morning, and we're going to talk about motivation. What I want to do is actually take you through my day because I have a number of different tasks that require different types of motivation, and I want to show you how I actually accomplish these things. Because we're going through the day, we're going to have to start to get ready for it. Now, this video is not going to be about like conjuring the motivation within. This is actually a video about being realistic and disciplined. I'm sure you've heard the phrase before, motivation is fleeting, and I have 100% found that to be true. You know, you're not always going to be motivated to do the task at hand. You're not always going to be motivated to work toward your goals. You're not always going to be motivated to like make dinner. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create really strong systems within your routine, because these systems are what's actually going to get you to take action and be motivated, or at least take action and get shit done. So I'm going to finish this and then we're going to come back and talk about my first system that is going to start my day. We're back. All right, so the first system that I want to look at is actually my study system. I'm currently studying for a new certification, CSCS. It's a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. It's through NSCA, and it's considered to be one of the toughest but most respected certifications for S&C coaches or strength and conditioning coaches. And that's the main reason that I want it. I sometimes get very like imposter syndrome because my undergrad is in theater. So not having an undergrad in like a relevant field and then, you know, not playing sports growing up. I mean, not like seriously. I was more so into like dance and theater. I just basically feel like I do have a lot of like catching up to do. I also feel like maybe I just have something to prove and that's a me issue. I honestly don't think that this cert is going to make like a huge difference in attracting new clients or honestly even too much of how I approach working with my clients, because I don't work with athletes. I do just work with general population, but I really want the credibility, and I'm also just thinking like long term, and this could open up a lot of doors for me down the road. I don't even know what that means, but I think it's good to have. So the first thing I did while setting this system up in place was deciding, what is my goal? Super broad. Last year, if you watched my 2024 goals video, I talked about how I wanted to at least start the process of studying for this certification this year, and then I want to have the cert by 2025. So we're well on our way. I knew that with my current schedule, I could really only commit to studying 2 chapters a week. Then I wanted to take a whole other month to like have daily practice. So that's what I'm going to get more into the nitty gritty, joining a study group, making flashcards, just kind of quizzing myself daily on all of the information in the textbook. So how do I implement all of that? I live and die by this Google Calendar. So essentially what I did, you can see I'm on chapter 17 right now. I just mapped all of this out. And so I believe that this is going to take me, through the week of Thanksgiving. And then when I join that study group, I'll do the same thing and I'll just kind of like map things out through my calendar through the month of December. Now I've talked about this before, but if something is in this calendar, it's getting done. 99% of the time, if something is scheduled, I will complete the task. And that's something that I have learned works for me. I'm also very realistic about where I put my study time. I typically like to start my day with it because my brain is pretty fresh in the morning. It's a nice way to ease into my day. Putting it at the end of my day would be an absolute nightmare because my brain is fried. So again, part of setting up a system is also knowing yourself and being realistic. I was very realistic about how many chapters I could handle a week. I'm very realistic about the time frame. I'm very realistic about when I actually study those chapters. And remember, my systems might not work for you, but I feel like just showing different options for systems is always helpful because a lot of the systems that I've put in place, I've kind of picked up from other people along the way. So we're gonna get to studying and then we will come back when we're gonna have some breakfast. Okay, we got our breakfast right here. It's just Greek yogurt, some protein powder, and a banana. But this brings us into our next system, my nutrition system. My nutrition goals are pretty simple. It's just like, eat well. I don't count macros. I don't count calories. Really, my whole focus this year was just developing a system that makes me eat balanced meals consistently. And that's pretty much it. And I've done a really good job of that because I have found a system that really works for me. So let's break it down. So midway through the week, I'm going to check in with Kevin on what his upcoming schedule looks like in terms of dinners. In case you don't know, Kevin is a stand-up comic. So he typically has shows at night. So sometimes that just means like we're going to be doing dinner separately. separately. And I typically handle dinners during the week. Kevin is kind of in charge of the weekends. That's just the system that works for us. So basically, I'm going to be figuring out how many dinners we're doing together and how many we're doing solo. Because if it's a solo dinner, I'm gonna put in way less effort. The next thing I'm gonna do is actually scroll on like Aldi's limited time section. I do get my groceries delivered via Instacart. It's just what works best for me. I have found that if I have the task of having to get up and go to the grocery store, it doesn't happen consistently. So even though it is a little more of a financial investment to utilize Instacart, number one, it has kept me consistent and I've saved money on the alternative of like, oh, I don't have food in the house, let me just order food. But number two, Aldi is actually so much more affordable than the grocery stores in my neighborhood. So I feel like I do actually, it at least ends up like evening out. So anyway, I scroll through Aldi's limited time section just to get like inspiration on seasonal items that might make some fun and different meals. I also have a whole tab on TikTok of just like food ideas. So if I'm not fully inspired by the first option, I'll move to there. If I'm not super inspired by anything there, I can also open up my master like meals note in my notes app. And then I'll also just look in the freezer and the fridge and the pantry and like see what we already have. So I'll go through all of those things and I'll build out basically a meal plan. I start with dinners because I like to try and utilize ingredients across meals. For instance, this week we're doing taco bowls. And with that, I like to use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. But to buy a whole thing of Greek yogurt just for like one meal seems very silly. So that's why we're also having Greek yogurt for breakfast. So basically, I'll just map out meal by meal all of the ingredients I need and try and get as much as I can from Aldi. And then if there's anything, like I think this week, I didn't want to buy a whole bag of lemons because I just needed one lemon, but Aldi didn't sell them single. So when Kevin went and got a few things that he needed for breakfast and lunch, he just picked up a lemon too. And having this set plan of meals for the week really gives me a lot of like, I don't know, it just takes the decision fatigue out of trying to decide what to make or decide what to have. So that's why I'm typically going to do the same breakfast for the whole week, the same lunch for the whole week, and then we've got our dinners planned out. So it gives me some structure without being super, super rigid, which is what works for me. We have 2 more systems to cover today, but first in about 30 minutes, I do have my one and only client of the day. Mondays are weird. Mondays are typically pretty light, which I do really enjoy. I like easing into the week. So I'm going to finish this. We're going to get prepped for this client, and then we'll come back and talk about my third system, which is scheduling work things that require a little more self-accountability and like self-motivation. So we'll come back for that. Hello, alternate angle here. So I just finished with my first and only client of the day, built my schedule brick by brick, baby. Okay, so what we have now, we're gonna be filming, well, we're gonna be chatting. Let's just chat right here. This is lovely. So the next thing that I have to do, I have to film an on-demand workout and then a bunch of demo videos for the next program that's coming out next month, which is an 8-week hypertrophy program. It's called the Build program. So this is my filming system, and this is actually brand new. I am testing this out to see how I like it, so I will report back. But I developed this idea, this concept, this method. Now, I developed this system because I was thinking about this interview that I listened to where basically people were talking about like billionaires don't work like all day, every day, like a normal person. They work a little bit really hard in small chunks and then they take time off. And I was like, well, how can I implement that into my routine? Because I really did start to feel like every single week was just this constant loop of like filming, editing, uploading, filming, editing, uploading. And while I like doing all of those things, I want to see if I can get a more efficient system. So we're trying this. So what I'm going to try to do in my months, for the most part, there's always going to be outliers in terms of like what I can fit in. But I want to try and do the first week of the month is a filming week. The second week of the month is a editing week for YouTube. The third week of the month is an editing week for the Fit Club. And then the last week of the month is kind of filling in the blanks and a little bit more of like rest recovery. You know, especially with my own personal workouts, it's really annoying when like I'm trying to film stuff every single week to get it done. But then it's like leaving me either too fatigued or just like sore tired to do my own workouts. So what I'm planning to do on a week like this is just scale back the actual workouts. So what I'm planning to do on a week like this is just scale back my own personal workouts, maybe do one or two, depending on how much on-demand filming I have to get done. So basically just kind of treating it like a deload week. Again, I don't know if I like this system yet, but we're playing with it. Now, I keep track of this with a number of systems that I already have set in place. I do have my master workout tracker, so I have a different tab for every single month. And all of this is kind of correlated to what live classes I'm taking and then what programs I am filming for that's getting released in the upcoming months. So then I take all that information and I go back to my normal calendar and I put it in. So today specifically, I'm going to be doing on-demand filming. I have to film the upper body build workout number 2, and then I'm going to film all of the demo videos for like the gym version of this program. Tomorrow, I'm filming social media content. I have to film 2 videos and then get a thumbnail for another video, and then I have to film 2 pieces of content for Instagram. The next day, I'm gonna film 2 lower body workouts. Thursday, I'm going to a studio to film a bunch of warm-ups. Basically for this program, I decided to give a little bit more like variability for an 8-week program. So like, how do I explain this? Basically, it's an 8-week program and we have 2 different phases. So we're going to be in one phase for 4 weeks and then the next phase for the last 4 weeks. So there's 2 lower body workouts. I think there's only 1 full body that we just do for the full 8 weeks, but then there's 2 upper body workouts just to give it a little variability and a little bit different progression. But then within that, I also really wanted to progress kind of the like power and plyometric stuff a little bit faster than just in 4-week chunks. So every 2 weeks, the warm up and the movement prep is going to change. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just want to do that because I felt like the repetition could maybe get boring. And I also just wanted to progress certain things a little bit faster in this program. So that's what I'm filming in a studio. I like to film in a studio every once in a while just to get like another space option. And then finally on Friday, we're doing just 1 full body workout. So we're gonna get set up for that. I actually need to conserve this camera because I'm gonna have to film 1 or 2. So let's get set up for it and then we'll come back and we'll talk about my final system of the video, which is my own personal workouts. We are on our way to the gym. Let me tell you, great day to film this because I'm not motivated. I'm tired. I'm stressed. Tomorrow's election day. It's just stressful, but I think that this is going to be the best thing. I pushed my gym session time on my calendar back by an hour because I had the flexibility to do so. And I really just kind of like checked in, mind, body, soul. Am I feeling good enough to do this? The answer is yes. And I also just take the external reminder from all of my training experience and go, I'm definitely going to feel better after this. Ooh, a cat. So anyway, if you couldn't tell by the theme of this video, I live and breathe and die by my Google Calendar. So right now, one of my big 2024 goals with training was to get better at kettlebell skills. I talked about this in a recent video a few months back, but I've been on Hunter Krine's Savage Athlete program. It is 3 times a week, which for me, when I like map out my goals, that's super, super realistic and achievable for me. I think that was a dead rat on the ground. Ugh. Cats and rats. So what I do at the beginning of the week is once my clients start booking, I just kind of map out where my gym time is going to be. Personally, I love an afternoon session, like around 2 or 3 p.m., especially if I do have more work to do the rest of the day. It gives me like a little energy boost. If I don't, like today, I get to be done after this and I get to reward myself with an everything shower. So we're going to knock out this session. Like I said, this week I'm cutting back on my own sessions. So I just went through the app and picked the one that looked the most exciting for today. I do think I'm going to get in another tomorrow, but honestly not sure based off of how sore I am and how my workload stacks up. So we are now surrounded by people, so I'm going to go into the gym and stop talking to you. Goodbye. We're home. Let's finish this video. So those are just all of the systems that I have in place that I used today. And all of those systems directly relate back to a goal that I have, whether it's a health goal or whether it's a business goal or a personal goal. One of my big goals is that certification. I have my study system in place. Another goal of mine is just my overall nutritional health. I have my systems in place. One of my big goals this year was to grow my business. So really making sure that I can grow in a way that is sustainable and supports the quality of the workouts and the content that I want to be creating. And then my final goal has to do with not only my workouts, but more specifically really refining my kettlebell skills. So I have a system in place for that too. All of those systems keep me motivated. On a day like today, where to be quite frank, Mondays are not my biggest day in terms of like pulling from my own energy. So if I didn't have any of these systems in play, I probably wouldn't have gotten half as much of this stuff done. My sister's calling me. So I'm going to answer this, but if you need some suggestions, oh my God, on your own systems, let me know it on the comments. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. We'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.